Welcome to the Texas Institute of Letters 2021 Annual Awards Presentation and Ceremony. I'm your host, Sergio Troncoso, president of the TIL, and I thought it was really appropriate to start with Los Lobos and One Time, One Night in America, only because first I love the song, but it has this bittersweet quality that I think makes this song emblematic of where we are today. You know, the lyrics are tough. They're about disappointment. They're about tragedies, and they're about struggle, you know, and asking this question of whether the dream of America is still there for the working class, for the new immigrants arriving. And that sadness, that toughness of the lyrics, I think is the counterpoint is the melody in the song, which I think gives you a sense of hope that we have to struggle for what we want. We have to turn the corner. And I feel that we are at that point, turning the corner in our country. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that music. It's been a difficult, but also an exhilarating year for the TIL. Of course, we all wanted to meet in person, but because of COVID-19 and the pandemic, we've had to adapt and use technology to keep our community together. So now we have a YouTube channel where readings and get-togethers can be viewed in greater numbers than we could ever fit into a banquet room. That's good news. And more good news is that we just completed our most successful year of contest with a record number of entries for the 12 contests we hold every year. More on those contests a bit later. And the final piece of good news is that we inducted 14 stellar writers, 3 of whom you will hear today: Cristina Rivera Garza, George Saunders, and Michael Martin Murphey. And the final piece of good news, I hope, is that we are all getting vaccinated. I just got my second dose of the Pfizer vaccine recently, and so we're getting ready to meet in El Paso, Texas in 2022. But of course, none of our accomplishments would be possible without the hard work of our TIL officers, and I want to acknowledge them right now. Diana Lopez, our vice president, Bill Sibley, our secretary, Kip Stratton, our treasurer, and Kurt Heinzelman, our recording secretary. They are the heart and soul of this organization, the ones who keep up our website, manage the judging committees for all our prizes every year, organize the dossiers of proposed new members, pay our bills, submit our taxes, assemble our newsletters, send thank you notes for membership renewals, record our meetings, and negotiate hotel and restaurant contracts for our annual meetings. The work truly is constant. And I want to say thank you to our team of officers. They're not just my esteemed colleagues, but also my friends. But don't think for one second that all of these group of officers are a bunch of stiff necks, as Bob Flynn would say. They all have their secret, quirky world, which I've made it a point to discover. Diana Lopez, an Iditarod racer, here she is with a wayward member of her pack who took the wrong turn on the way to the finish line in Nome, Alaska, and ended up in Corpus Christi. And Bill Sibley, even keel, not when you announce to him that it's time for another TIL newsletter. As you can tell, we love to have some fun here at the TIL. And here's our friend Kip Stratton, ready to defend our homeland after being told Bob Flynn is on his way for cookies, whether Kip likes it or not. It's a rough world out there, especially with Bob on the prowl. And Kurt Heinzelman, getting ready for a battle of the tribute bands at a secret underground venue, ZZ Top versus Simon and Garfunkel. I wish I could have been there. And what? Steve Davis, how did he sneak in here? At Ralphred's hair salon for very special humans. Monsieur Ralphred just loves his favorite customer. Oh, and please don't judge me. This is an old Steve Davis special because he knows me. Let me just say, Saturday Night Fever is most definitely not a disco album. It's just great music. Don't argue with me about it. Let's leave it at that and move on. The officers with the TIL Council, together we keep the TIL moving forward, and I'm always grateful for the support, ideas, and work we get from our council members. Thank you. And I also didn't have time to get any compromising photos of the council anyway, so all of you can take a deep breath. This year, we inducted 14 stellar writers into the Texas Institute of Letters. What a great 2021 TIL class. Crystal Allen is the author of 3 books and of 3 books under the Magnificent Maya series. She's a terrific children's writer who is also so funny with a perfect voice that I became lost in her story as she read for the TIL at our new member series on YouTube. Chris Barton, and I know Chris is here, so welcome, Chris. Another stellar children's writer whose book, What Can You Do with a Voice Like That?, won the TIL's award for Best Picture Book in 2018. And Raymond Caballero. I know also Ray Caballero is here with us, so welcome, Ray. He was a politician turned excellent historian who was the 50th mayor of El Paso, Texas, and a darn good one at that. And Gail Caldwell is the author of Bright Precious Things and some terrific memoirs. And she also won the Pulitzer Prize in Criticism for the Boston Globe. Welcome, Gail. And Allison Hedge-Koch, a first-class poet and recent winner of the Association of Writers and Writing Programs George Garrett Award for Outstanding Community Service in Literature. Welcome, Allison, to the TIL. And Tony Diaz from Houston, founder of Nuestra Palabra and the Libro Traficante movement to bring banned books to Arizona and beyond, a tireless advocate for Mexican-American studies. And David Samuel Levinson, founder of the Big Texas Read and an excellent writer of satire. I love exchanging emails with David. They are always so sharp and funny. And here's a compilation of some of the work of our first 7 inductees. A terrific way to start your summer reading by picking up these books. I am certainly going through many of them right now that I'm not already familiar with, so I encourage you to support our new members. To get to the next 7, Preston Lewis, the author of a widely popular series of Western novels, Memoirs of H.H. Lomax, a funny, adventurous series. And I have to tell you, when Preston read for us at our new member series, I love hearing his voice. What a fantastic reading voice he has. And Michael Martin Murphey, a great songwriter who wrote Wildfire and many other hits about his love of the West and the frontier. Michael created a special video for the TIL we will hear later. And Kevin Proofer, a Houston poet whose collection, How He Loved Them, was long listed for the 2019 Pulitzer Prize and received the Julie Suk Award for Best Poetry Book. Kevin is also here this afternoon. Welcome, Kevin, to the TIL. And Cristina Rivera Garza, a thoughtful, inventive, and provocative writer from Mexico who lives in Houston, a generational talent, in my opinion. She exemplifies the best of what literature from La Frontera can be. We will hear from Professor Rivera Garza read for us in a few minutes. And George Saunders, one of the best writers in the United States today, whose short stories are standouts in satire and style and form. His novel, Lincoln and the Bardo, one of the most inventive novels recently written, in my opinion, and it won the Man Booker Prize. He sent a special video reading for the TIL, which we will hear in a few moments. And Brian Washington, another excellent writer from Houston. I love the effervescence of his lines. in his New Yorker pieces, a writer just getting started, but already so good. And Scott Wigerman, the founder and editor of Dos Gatos Press in Albuquerque, a poet who has helped others to understand and teach poetry through wing beats, a poet who is also an artist. I would encourage you to check Scott Wigerman's website. And here's a compilation of books from our second 7 inductees, just terrific work and just emblematic of the high quality that is being produced right now in and about Texas. So congratulations to all 14 new TIL inductees for 2021, a stellar group representing prose and poetry, journalism, songwriting, and scholarship. Now, please welcome newly inducted TIL member, Cristina Rivera Garza, who will be reading from her work. And before Cristina starts, I just want to say a few more words about her. Cristina Rivera Garza said in a recent talk that research is a form of care, that writing involves forging a present-day relationship with your ancestors. As we delve deep into those who came before us, we also understand how and why we are in this place to write. As writers, we must face that ethical responsibility of not only telling the stories of others, but also of facing the questions of trauma and pain that have allowed us the privileged position we inhabit as writers. To be a writer, you must open yourself to others and be vulnerable. In my mind, as I interpret Professor Garza, to be a writer is to be a vehicle for our emotional and communal connection through time. And we create this we through language. So please welcome Cristina Rivera Garza.
Hi, buenas tardes a todos. Muchas gracias. Such a pleasure to be here. A real honor, and congratulations to all the new members of the Texas Institute of Letters. I'm going to be reading briefly from a piece that was published recently in the Baffler. This piece I explored. I was telling the story of a road trip that we took last March when we were trying to get my mother from Houston to Brownsville. She was taking a flight back to Mexico just a week or so before the pandemic. All the laws and all the lockdowns began in Houston in regards to the pandemic. So I'm going to be reading a section in English and another section in Spanish, because that's very much how I experienced Texas myself. And I have to tell you that I am thinking very much about my maternal grandparents right now, the Cristino Garza Peña and Emilia Arispe Bermea. They crossed the US-Mexico border when they were children, very young. They lived and worked all their lives in ranches of southern Texas. They were expelled back, they were pushed back in the 1930s. Right after the crash of 1929, and they were fortunate enough to find land and to find a place on the Mexican side of the Rio Bravo to remake their lives. So they will be very happy to see me today speaking with all of you, and specifically to this Texas Institute of Letters. So the piece is, the title is Sonar Wildly. You can find it online, but let's see. Only the most famous cemeteries have maps at the entrance locating the tombs of the dead. In the average graveyard, you have to follow the dirt paths that other feet have marked out. It is difficult to orient yourself among these pathways and shortcuts, especially the first time around. When I visited the Valle de la Paz Cemetery in Hidalgo County, Texas, last March, the sunlight was truly merciless and everything seemed to reverberate uncontrollably beneath its glare. Saul and I split up the tombs and set about looking for her name. It was an instructive exercise, a kind of radiography of the local community. We learned that entire generations of Ansalduas have lived and died around Hidalgo since the middle of the 19th century. There were Ansaldúa women and men, Ansaldúa children, little oval photos cracked by time, showing Ansaldúa gestures. At the edge of the premises, by the barbed wire fence, Gloria Ansaldúa's grave could be made out from afar by the offerings heaped by it. Old candles, neon skulls, and bouquets of bright plastic flowers lay at the base of the headstone and the adjoining Virgin Mary. The inscription was taken from the ritual passage that concludes Ansaldúa's last book, Light in the Dark, Luz en lo Oscuro, rewriting identity, spirituality, reality. May we seize the arrogance to create outrageously, sonar wildly, for the word becomes as we dream it. The phrase perplexed me, sending me back to the book, which was only published over a decade after Ansaldúa's early death in 2004. The N on the headstone was missing a tilde, not the English noun sonar, nor the related Spanish verb sonar, but the Spanish soñar, to dream. It was a trick of Nepantla, which Ansaldúa defined as the land of the in-between, as much a state of being as a material place where seeing double is not only possible, but inevitable. It was one more sign that we were on the border. Hijas del algodón. A inicios de marzo del 2020, apenas unos días después de que cundiera la alerta que provocó el primer anuncio de la presencia del virus COVID-19 en Texas, condujimos hasta la frontera para llevar a mi madre de regreso a México. Preparamos todo con calma, como si se tratara de otro viaje más, pero íbamos serios en el camino, observando el paisaje del valle con ojos pasmados. De reojo, mientras capturaba algunos gestos de mi madre en el espejo retrovisor, me preguntaba cuántas veces no habíamos recorrido ya esta carretera y si lo volveríamos a hacer en alguna otra ocasión en el futuro, juntas. ¿Sería esta nuestra última vez? El primer viaje que hizo mi madre unos 50 años atrás había seguido la misma ruta, pero al revés, de Brownsville a Houston, en tren. De repente, esa muchacha joven, de extraordinarios ojos grandes y cejas tupidas, se detenía en el reflejo a medias curiosa, a medias fastidiada por las horas en el camino. ¿Ya vamos a llegar? A su lado venía su hermana Santos, platicando sin cesar, tomándole la mano de cuando en cuando. Ahí, en el asiento de atrás, cuchicheando entre risas como si fueran adolescentes, juntaban unos 160 años de experiencia entre las dos. ¿Te acuerdas de? Érase que se era. Fíjate que. El calor apretaba el tallo de los árboles y caía pesado sobre los matorrales. El calor diluía el color de los autos y producía esa sensación de espejismo hacia el final de la carretera. Todavía no era ni primavera y ya se cernía esa luz densa, llena de humedad sobre la planicie. El verde de los matorrales y el verde de los mezquites se confundía con el verde de los zacates. En lo alto, un azul celeste borraba todo lo demás. Nos detuvimos en refugio para poner gasolina y comer algo ahí, y ahí, al consultar el GPS, siguiendo el recorrido de la carretera 69E hacia el sur, reconocí el nombre. En unas 2 horas y media pasaríamos a un lado de Raymondville. ¿Te acuerdas?, le pregunté a Saúl mostrándole la pantalla del teléfono. Quedamos de parar ahí alguna vez, añadí. Deberíamos hacerlo, dijo sin chistar. Deberíamos, nos contestó el viento que combaba las palmeras del camino. Estábamos entrando ya en la vereda tropical tejana, la punta del sur del estado que incluye unos 20 condados y colinda con la frontera y al este con el Golfo de México. La vegetación se volvió un poco más exuberante de súbito, un verde más pálido, un poco más brillante también. Emanaba de hojas grandes que alcanzaban a producir sombra a los costados del camino. Nada en lo que veíamos, sin embargo, hacía presentir lo que había existido antes, o lo que todavía estaba aquí, oculto bajo capas de tiempo. Apenas unos cuantos siglos atrás, cuando iniciaron las primeras exploraciones del área, un poco después de la conquista, esta zona tropical hecha de una infinidad de microclimas estuvo cubierta por un denso bosque ribereño. Árboles de distintas alturas, enredaderas muy tupidas y espesos arbustos espinosos habían cercado los pantanos que anunciaban el agua, boscajes de palmas, matorrales. Entre más avanzábamos, más se dejaba sentir el río en el ambiente. Hacia allá íbamos. Eso era lo que en un par de días cruzaríamos juntas, el río de las Palmas o el Gran Río del Norte, como le decían los que lo vieron por primera vez. El río que nosotras conocimos siempre como el río Bravo, aunque nuestros parientes del otro lado lo llamaran el río Grande. Ese caudal, ese lento humedecer de la tierra, una cuenca siempre en movimiento, las llanuras de su propia inundación, ese fluir de agua dulce y minerales y tiempo repartido en tantos brazos y afluentes, definió la infancia de mi madre y sus hermanas. Sus aguas, derramadas a través de un curioso sistema de diques y bordos, alimentaron las raíces de las matas de algodón que transformaron radicalmente su vida en la frontera. Se trata, sin duda, del río de nuestras vidas. ¿Por qué nos detenemos aquí?, preguntó mi madre. ¿Pasa algo? Estábamos a la entrada de Raymondville, frente a un viejo granero de altos techos de 2 aguas, ambos oxidados por el paso del tiempo. Los altos postes de la electricidad, la vía del tren. Aquí nació una mujer a la que les habría gustado conocer, les dije. Saúl se bajó del auto para sacar a caminar a Lara, la perrita que se había convertido en el centro de nuestra atención después de pasar apenas un par de meses con nosotros, y para tomar algunas fotos. Se llamó Gloria Ansaldúa, añadí, contorsionando la espalda para poder verlas de frente en el asiento de atrás. Tendría más o menos su edad, le dije a mi madre, que nació en 1943, también bajo el signo de Libra. Y era muy argüendera, añadí, guiñándoles un ojo, como ustedes. Fue en ese momento que decidimos que de verdad tendríamos que detenernos en este lugar y por eso arrancamos el auto pensando que lo haríamos con más calma en el viaje de regreso. Nuestro destino final era Reynosa, de donde saldría el avión que llevaría a mi madre al centro de México, pero antes teníamos planeado pasar un par de días conviviendo con 2 más de sus hermanas en Brownsville, además de Santos, la que había vivido en Houston por ya casi 60 de sus 82 años. Pronto encontraríamos a Yolanda, quien llevaba tiempo disfrutando su retiro en un pequeño departamento cerca de la Isla del Padre, y a Estela, que se había sentado ya también por años en un vaivén entre Brownsville y Matamoros y Brownsville otra vez. Todas ellas, incluso las 2 hermanas que no pudieron llegar a esa cita apresurada antes del despliegue de la pandemia, eran y son hijas del río Bravo, hijas del río Grande Valley, hijas del Valle de Matamoros. Todas son hijas del algodón. Gracias.
Thank you, Cristina. That's such a terrific reading, and so grateful that you are now a member of the TIL. So let's continue with our program, and there we go. So the TIL has 4 members who are recognized as TIL Fellows: Bob Flynn, Kip Stratton, Carolyn Osborne, and Steve Davis, all of whom exemplify excellence to their literary craft, and also to our organization that has been led by writers since 1936. We also want to remember those members whom we have sadly lost in 2020 and 2021. The complete memorials are in the archives section of our website. I received the last one yesterday, so as soon as I get a chance to edit it, I will put that last one up in our archives, and they will remain there in perpetuity. So I encourage all of you to read these memorials, often done by the best friends of these individuals. And I will also be sending a PDF to all members probably next week. James Hoggard. Robert Bonazzi. Max Evans. Jan Reed. Leon Hale. And Larry McMurtry. Now please welcome a special video from newly inducted TIL member George Saunders, who will be reading from his work. And as I get this video together, let me tell you some of the things I love about being president. I love interacting with these new members who are so generous in spirit. And with George Saunders, I started exchanging emails about using his new book that just came out this year, A Swim in a Pond in the Rain, which is about dissecting Russian short story writers. And I told him I would be using his book at my workshop at Yale. And he was thrilled about that. So, you know, George Saunders is just a working class guy. In his 20s, he was working at a slaughterhouse in Texas, and so remains, I think, very humble and a generous soul. So here's George Saunders.
Hi everyone, George Saunders here. I want to say how honored I am to be part of the Texas Institute of Letters. I was born in Amarillo, spent a lot of great years there in my 20s. My grandfather, John Clark, lived in Amarillo, and he was a traveling salesman. So when I was little, he used to take me around to, you know, Dumas and Pampa and Borger. So I'll dedicate this short reading to his memory. This is from a story called The Semka Girl Diaries in my book, 10th of December. I think it's kind of self-explanatory. It's just a kind of a set piece in the form of diary entries by a kind of frazzled middle-aged guy based on myself. September 30th. Sorry for silence. Crazy thing happened this week. Monday, Todd Grassberger died. Future readers know Todd? Have I mentioned? Probably have not mentioned. Todd, not close friend, just work colleague. Todd and I had running joke I had never returned Firewire I had borrowed. In fact, it was company Firewire, not his. He knew, I knew he knew, it was just our joke. At 2, word rippled through office. Todd dead. Had heart attack at dry cleaner just now during lunch. All afternoon, no one working. Everyone stunned, milling around, trying to process fact that Todd equaled dead. Under Todd's desk, a pair of hiking boots. Against one wall, walking stick Todd used to take on lunchtime walk in woods. Weird sun shower around 3. Linda Hurtney. It's like a final goodbye from Todd. Linda equal nut. Once claimed Crow on ledge was reincarnation of her dead husband. Said she could tell by way Crow's head was cocked disapprovingly at large lunch she was eating. Then storm over, parking lot glistening. All evening found myself looking afresh at Pam, kids. Everything suddenly precious. Said prayer before dinner. Do not usually pray before dinner, but tonight held hands, prayed. Prayed we would be grateful for our good fortune, grateful for each other. Prayed we would remember that various ups, downs we may experience as family equal small bumps in road compared with this. Prayed for Todd, prayed for Todd's family. Just nights ago, Todd was in own house doing whatever Todd did at night, taking change out of pockets, having laugh with kids, petting dog, thinking of future, tossing dirty clothes in hamper. Where is Todd tonight? October 1st. Todd Grassberger funeral today at Ukrainian church downtown. Todd apparently from humble roots. Priest equal long-haired guy in cassock. Sings, chants, whole service in Ukrainian from memory. As he chants paces, cassock rope swings. Scary guy, very intense. Sermon, why this surprising? Did you think you were going to live forever? Only difference between you sitting there, anticipating the rest of your day, and Todd in coffin, bound for eternal home in cold earth, is heartbeat. Feel that, people? In your chest, that is thin line between you and grave. So why do you live like you are eternal? That foolish. You are fools. This scary? This not scary. This truth. This reality. Shouts, shall we wake up? Shall we? Everyone's staring big-eyed at Priest, except usual congregants who seem to have heard all before. Priest goes on, which of us will die tonight? Do we think he's being facetious? That shows we are dopes. Any one of us could die tonight, die right now, suddenly come up short of breath, keel over in pew, be with Todd in earth in wink of eye. Suddenly from downstairs kitchen, smell of roast beef. Happy chatter from church ladies down in kitchen. Smell of roast beef plus sound of pots clinking, plates being set out, equal appealing. People shifting in pews due to amazing smell of beef. Todd's two brothers come to lectern, make tributes. Older brother, Todd sweet, Todd funny, Todd a powerful force in his life. Will never forget wonder that was Todd. Younger brother, yes, Todd super strong person. Todd equal bull. Although Todd could be somewhat firm, Todd did younger brother much good in long run by teaching him how to stand up for himself. That is to say, having been pushed around by Todd throughout entire childhood, nothing can now faze younger brother, i.e. no bully in outside world will ever be equal of Todd. But Todd's so great, Todd the best, Todd so smart, so good looking, no wonder Todd's mom plus dad always treated him, younger brother, like afterthought. But Todd's so caring, so perceptive, Todd understood this, would sometimes console younger brother by saying that he, younger brother, was perfectly fine in own way. Often just before breaking pact they had made Wednesday night being younger brother's night to borrow dad's car, thereby ruining younger brother's chance to see girl he really liked, possible love of life, girl he eventually lost to some dope from his Selden. Dope whose own older brother apparently more inclined than Todd to give his younger brother decent shot at family car. Todd's younger brother, breathless, pauses at lectern, can't seem to stop self, plunges ahead. But Todd great, Todd so great, Todd will surely be missed. Todd taught everyone in family important lesson. Although person might be strong, bellicose, ambitious, slightly blind to needs of others, still that does not mean person not greatest, most amazing brother ever, who occasionally, as if to spite self, might suddenly, surprising all, do some reasonably thoughtful thing. Younger brother, seemingly perplexed by own tribute, then led away from lectern by scowling older brother, hissing something in undertone. Todd's widow approaches lectern. Can't seem to speak. 3 little girls clinging to her skirt. Widow hands microphone to smallest girl. Smallest girl. Bye, Daddy. Lunch, good. Lunch beyond good. Funeral so sad. Lunch equal heaven. Eat 3 roast beef sandwiches in a row off paper plate. Outside, yellow tree blowing in wind. Single yellow leaf blows in through open basement window. Watch it come down, land near my shoe. Think, life beautiful. So glad I'm not dead. If, when I die, do not want Pam lonely. Want her to remarry, have a full life. As long as new husband is nice guy, gentle guy, religious guy, very caring plus good to kids. But kids not fooled. Kids prefer dead dad, i.e. me, to religious guy. Pale, boring, religious guy, with no oomph, who wears weird sweaters and is always a little sad due to cannot get boner, due to physical ailment. Death very much on my mind tonight, future reader. Can it be true that I will die? That Pam, kids will die? Is awful. Why were we put here so inclined to love when end of our story equal death? That harsh, that cruel, do not like. Note to self, try harder in all things to be a better person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George, for that. And so let's continue on. So the 2021 Literary Awards, thank you to all the judges for their hard work in selecting our winners in a record year of submissions for TIL contest. We particularly appreciate all the TIL members who served as judges. For 2021, the TIL awarded $25,000 in prizes in 13 categories. Our judging committees were diverse groups in terms of gender, geography, ethnicity, and race. The TIL remains at the forefront of identifying and honoring great literary work from or about our state, and we should all be proud about that. For the Jesse H. Jones Award for Best Book of Fiction, our three judges were Celeste Bedford Walker, Cliff Hutter, and Dr. Emma Perez. And they chose as their finalist Barn 8, a novel by Deb Olin Unferth and published by Grey Wolf Press, and Rules for Being Dead by Kim Powers that was published by Blair. Congratulations to the finalists. And as the winner of the Jesse Jones Award for Best Book of Fiction, they chose Brian Washington's novel Memorial from Riverhead Books. And this is what the judges said. Memorial is a surprising blend of domestic love story for our times, driving page-turner. In a style all his own, Washington has created a fully realized milieu where the personal and the global implications of love and family intermingle. Congratulations, Brian, and also for being inducted this year into the TIL. For the Sergio Troncoso Award for Best First Book of Fiction, our judges were again Celeste Bedford Walker, Cliff Hutter, and Dr. Emma Perez. And they chose as their finalist Valentine, a novel by Elizabeth Wetmore from Harper Publications, and Long Gone and Lost, True Fictions and Other Lies by Bobby Horeca from Madville Publishing. And as their winner, they chose Marisol Cortez, Loose at Midnight, that was published by Flower Song Press. And I know Marisol is here and invited also some of her family. So welcome, Marisol, and congratulations for winning the Troncoso Award. This is what the judges said about Marisol's book. Marisol's complex debut novel manages to cross genres and experiment with form while also telling a story of true love. Loose at Midnight is lyrical, thrilling, fresh performance art between two covers that showcases a unique and new Texas voice. Congratulations. For the Carr P. Collins Award for Best Book of Nonfiction, our three judges were Andy Sansom, William Clark, and Betty Sue Flowers. And Andy and Betty Sue are TIL members, and Bill Clark is the owner of the independent bookstore Literarity Bookshop in El Paso, Texas. I hope all of you will visit that shop. It's the best independent bookstore in El Paso. They chose as their finalists South to Freedom, Runaway Slaves to Mexico and the Road to Civil War by Alice Baumgartner from Basic Books, and All I Ever Wanted, a rock and roll memoir by Kathy Valentine from University of Texas Press. And as their winner, they chose Joe Hawley, who wrote Sutherland Springs and was published by Hachette Books. And Joe, I know, is here this afternoon, so congratulations, Joe, for winning the Collins Award for Best Book of Nonfiction. And this is what the judges said. The book is most timely from a number of perspectives. Hawley's efforts over more than a year to spend time with the families affected by the shooting in their church, his sensitivity and skillful presentation of a widely different perspectives of the gun issue, and his remarkable storytelling ability made the book impossible to put down. Congratulations. For the Helen C. Smith Memorial Award for Best Book of Poetry, our three judges were Chip Dameron, Emi Perez, and Irene Lara Silva. And they chose as their finalists Field Puma, poems by Ray Gonzalez, published by the University of New Mexico Press, and Black Dove, Paloma Negra by Leslie Contreras Schwartz from Flower Song Press. And as their winner, they chose Chera Hammond's Map of Injury from Sundress Publication. Congratulations, Chera, for winning the Smith Memorial Award for Best Book of Poetry. And here are the judges' comments. Writing with vivid images and honed emotion in Maps of Injury, Cheryl Hammond explores the frailties of the body and of the earth, and ultimately, she celebrates the power of love and the temporal resilience, saying, quote, even while you think you can't go on, the day carries you. Congratulations. And for the John A. Robertson Award for Best First Book of Poetry, our three judges were Chip Dameron, Emi Perez, and Irene Lara Silva again. And they chose as their finalists Brook the Divide by Rebecca Spears from Unsolicited Press, and Kotlikue Girl from Gris Munoz from Flower Song Press. And as their winner, they chose David Meishen, Anyone's Son, from 3 Ataos Press. In this intimate and honest collection, the judges said, David Meishen lays open a life, body, heart, and soul invoking Texan life, familial relationship, desire, and queerness and identity. A stunning lyrical simplicity graces these hard-won reflections and insights from an intrepid poet. Congratulations, David, for winning the Robertson Award. For the Ramirez Award for Most Significant Scholarly Book, our three judges were Rico Ainsley, Norma E. Cantu, and Andrew Graybill. And they chose as their finalists Los Adayes, The First Capital of Spanish Texas by Francis X. Galan from Texas A&M University Press, and Reading, Writing, and Revolution, Escuelitas and the Emergence of a Mexican-American Identity in Texas by Phyllis Barragan Getz from the University of Texas Press. And as their winner, they chose Miguel Angel Gonzalez Quiroga, War and Peace on the Rio Grande Frontier from Oklahoma University Press. And these are the judges' words. The committee was impressed by the depth of scholarship and the breadth of the work straddling both sides of the US-Mexico border region. We also deemed the writing to be of an excellent quality. Congratulations, Miguel Angel. I know Miguel Angel is here today, so congratulations. Now, please welcome a special video from newly inducted TIL member and songwriter, Michael Martin Murphey. This will be a special treat. But to get this video ready for you, one of the things I want to tell you is that Michael Martin Murphey was so exceptionally generous with us. He sent over 40 minutes of several songs that he sung, and also that he deconstructed and told us about his craft. And so I'll be putting all of this on our YouTube channel, but this is just a snippet about 12 minutes long.
First of all, I want to say how overwhelmed I am and humbled I am to be inducted into the Texas Institute of Letters. It came as a big surprise to me. I never expected it. Still not sure I deserve it. I've always sort of looked at myself as a wandering minstrel songwriter who just turns out these ditties and little songs. I try to make them as poetic as I can, but I try to make them appeal to everybody, the average guy. In pop music, if you get too high flown, you tend to lose your audience. And as the poet Marshall once said, nobody reads if nobody writes, and nobody writes if nobody reads. So I want to make sure I've got some listeners out there in terms of the way I write things. But I really don't think about all that when I'm putting together a song. Anyway, this is my best known song. I'm going to play it first, and then as you have requested, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I put it together, what the experiences were that led up to writing this song, and a little bit about how I, as you put it, crafted it. But I don't really think of myself as a craftsman so much as somebody who cobbles things together more. It's just called Wildfire. She comes down from Yellow Mountain on a dark flat land she rides. On a pony she named Wildfire. A whirlwind by your side on a cold Nebraska night. They say she died one winter when there came a killing frost, and the pony she named Wildfire busted down and stalled. In a blizzard he was lost. Ran calling wildfire. She ran calling wildfire. Calling wildfire. So by the dark of the moon I planted, but there came an early snow. Bit of hoot owl howling outside my window now. 6 nights in a row she's coming for me. And on Wildfire we're both gonna go. We'll be riding wildfire, riding wildfire. We'll be riding wildfire. Gonna leave side busting behind. Get the hard times right on out of our mind. we'll be riding wildfire. Well, to talk about that song a little bit, first of all, it's a ghost story. And I dreamed this song. I didn't write it. I actually did a lot of things that led up to my dream, though. But then I internalized it all. And I woke up from a dream in the middle of the night, and I have usually a pad of paper or something not far from me when I get up at night, and I write down my dreams. And I like the way things come out in dreams, because sometimes they're really mysterious images and deserve some interpretation, or sometimes they don't deserve any interpretation. You can't make anything out of what it means, but you can describe it. And I've always said I don't really know what wildfire means. I mean, I've interpreted my dream many different ways, but over the years I've come to realize that there's some things that led up to my having that dream. First of all, my grandfather was from Kentucky, and he was a storyteller. He was a mountain man. He came to Texas, a fairly young man, to be a cattle rancher and a cowboy because he didn't want to work in the coal mines there. And when I was about 3 or 4 years old, I used to walk down to his house. He lived just a few doors down from us in Dallas. And he was a mountain man and a farmer. Later on, it wasn't long before he got out of there and got out of the city and went back to the country. And I remember going out to visit him in the summers. And after work was over on the ranch and the farm work was done, he was always sitting on the front porch with a mason jar rattling some ice around in some iced tea, and he'd start to look out over the horizon, and the kids would come gather around, and we knew he was about to tell us a story. And a lot of the stories that come from the backwoods that old men and old women tell kids are ghost stories. And somehow or other, I got this ghost story in my head and lived with it since the time I was a child. I don't really specifically know if he told me this ghost story. I just know that he told me a lot of ghost stories, but I've often wondered if this was one of them. In thinking about writing this song, or writing some songs, what I always do is I just collect images. I like to just have a notebook around, and I just like to collect images, and I read all kinds of things, books, poems, and things, and I collect images. And one of the things I love to do is collect images from classical poetry, really medieval and ancient poetry, back when being a poet was something that was, I don't know how to say it better, but something that was really a craft and really respected. And the wandering minstrel was the basis of it all. What I like about songwriting and why I've really never gotten out of that category of being a songwriter, I love it because I think songwriting is probably the basis of literature. We know that the Neanderthals actually sang songs and chants and had instruments. Now that's been discovered by people who have found these sites where there obviously was some drumming and some chanting and stuff going on. So, but I have a meter. If I go, la da 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 da, could also put a different hum a different melody with that. I could go ba do 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 da dee da la da dee da dee la dee da la la me the sun da da dee da da da. Or I could go da 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 la da la dee da da dee da da. Take even one of those lines as a piece of poetry. They're each going to have slightly different meter or rhyme, or sometimes they're going to come out exactly perfect, just like an old-time rhyming poem does. What I do is I get that meter down. I studied scansion. I was an English major in college and a creative writing major at UCLA. I think I was one of the first people to actually craft a creative writing course at UCLA, because they really didn't have that department then. But I said I wanted to actually practice writing. I just didn't want to read literature. I wanted to be able to practice writing it. More than just learning the grammar of the English language, I wanted to study the techniques of writing. They said, well, we're not really sure that we have anything like that. So they put me in a special class with a poet named Charles Gullins, who was a professor, but also a published poet at UCLA. So I was right away working with somebody who saw things, even in free verse, in a kind of meter. Anyway, I would get the scansion of my lines down. Now I've got a form, like a poet works with a sonnet. In songwriting, though, one line may set up a certain way, and the next line is shorter, and the next line's a little bit longer because of the way the melodies work. But nonetheless, I would get that down, and then I didn't have to have an instrument. I could be riding on a plane or riding along in a car or out to lunch, and I'd get out my notebook and look at the scansion of the line from the song, and I already knew the melody in my head, but even if I'd forgotten the melody, I'm working with this certain meter, and I would start to write it out like a poem and try to fit words into it.
Thank you, Michael Martin Murphey. And again, I want to emphasize what a generous individual he was in giving us so much of his work, and especially dedicating these videos to the TIL. I hope many other members follow that example of George Saunders and also of Michael Martin Murphey, being generous and giving and trying to help. And I will never forget that. To continue, for the Gene Flynn Award for Best Young Adult Book, our judges were David Bowles, Karen Harrington, and Guadalupe Garcia McCall. And David and Guadalupe are TIL members. And for those of you who don't know, Karen Harrington is an author of children's and young adults books, Sure Signs of Crazy, Courage for Beginners, and Mayday. And she's from Dallas, Texas. And so they chose as their finalist, Running by Natalia Sylvester from Clarion Books, and Apollo 13, A Successful Failure by Laura Edge from 21st Century Publications. And as their co-winners, they chose Darcy Little Badger, Elazzo from Levine Querido, and Francisco Stork, Illegal, was published by Scholastic Press. And so this is what the judges said about each book. We selected Illegal not only due to the quality of the story, but also for its effortless readability and authenticity. We found the novel wonderfully and honestly told, no mean feat given the subject matter. We feel that the teen readers will fall for the great characters and engaging plot, then stick with the book because of its relentless pace and mystery. And for Elazzo, it was a delightful surprise from a debut author. The world building and stylistic talents are breathtaking, and we found ourselves very engaged with the story. The voice of the protagonist was younger and more wide-eyed than we'd expected, but her story felt new and fresh, shrugging off the typical tropes for something wholly unique. So congratulations to both Darcy Little Badger and Francisco Stork for winning the Flynn Award for Best Young Adult Book. For the Deidre Choban Flynn Bass Award for Best Middle Grade Book, our judges were Lisa von Drastic, Sarah Quadra, and Anna Mariano. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about the judges since none of them were TIL members and you may not know them. Lisa von Drastic is a prominent librarian, formerly from the Bank Street School for Children, and curator of the Children's Literature Research Collections of the University of Minnesota Libraries. And she's a friend of mine. She had previously served on both the Caldecott and Newbery Award committees. And Sarah Quadra is the owner of the Storybook Garden bookstore in West Laco, Texas, which specializes in children's literature. And Anna Mariano is the Houston author of the Love, Sugar, Magic middle grade fiction series, and This Is How We Fly. So they chose as their finalist Feathered Rise of the Halfling King by David Bowles from Cinco Puntos Press, and Benby and the Teacher Greifer, The Kids Under the Stairs by K.A. Holt from Chronicle Books. And as their winner, they chose Christina Sundtornvat, A Wish in the Dark from Candlewick Press. And I know Christina is here today, so congratulations, Christina, for winning the Flynn Bass Award for Best Middle Grade Book. And here are the judges' words. In a fantastical yet culturally grounded world full of glowing orbs and Buddhist blessings, 3 children struggle to survive as they fight the idea that birth is destiny. Social justice and juvenile incarceration, kindness and community are at the forefront as these protagonists grapple with the question of how or whether to try to fix a broken world. So congratulations, Christina, again. For the Bridget Aaron Flynn Award for Best Picture Book, our judges were again Lisa von Drastic, Sarah Quadra, and Anna Mariano. And they chose as their 2 finalists, William Still and His Freedom Stories, The Father of the Underground Railroad by Don Tate from Peachtree Publishing, and For Beautiful Black Boys Who Believe in a Better World by Michael Waters from Flyaway Books. And the winner, they selected the brothers Jerome Pumphrey and Jarrett Pumphrey, who wrote The Old Truck from Norton Young Readers. And I know Jerome Pumphrey and Jarrett Pumphrey are here today. So welcome and congratulations for winning the Flynn Award for Best Picture Book. And here are the judges. Brothers Jarrett and Jerome Pumphrey craft a multi-layered visual and lyrical saga of a Black family farm and its dependable red pickup truck. The stamped illustrations have a retro yet modern feel with a serene palette, an imaginative use of white space that shows the passage of time through a setting that feels timeless. The jury delighted in discovering the parallel connections between the pictures and the text, a triumph in bookmaking. So congratulations again, both to Jerome Pumphrey and Jared Pumphrey for winning the Flynn Award for Best Picture Book. And before I go on, all of you have noticed, of course, that all the children's awards are named after the Flynn family. And for this, we had to thank our Bob Flynn, who has generously endowed permanently all 3 children's awards. So thank you, Bob Flynn, for having that generosity of spirit. For the Fred Whitehead Award for Best Design of a Trade Book, our judges were Judith Rigler, Wes Ferguson, and Bill Wright. And they chose as their finalist The Ballad of Robert Ely and His 5 Careless Lovers by Joe Nick Patowski, the book designed by Nancy Macmillan Design and from Horn and Wesley Publishers, and At Home in the Great Plains of Texas, The Paintings of Laura Lewis by Laura Lewis with Christina Mulkey. The book design was by Christy Lee from Texas A&M University Press. And their winner was the book designed by Marianne Jacob, Daddy O's Book of Big Ass Art by Bob Daddy-O Wade from Texas A&M University Press. And congratulations, Marianne, and I know Marianne is here today for winning the Whitehead Award. The judges. Daddy O's book of Big Ass Art is a fun-filled posthumous tribute to the wild and wacky artist known for the huge cowboy boots outside of San Antonio's North Star Mall and the 40-foot iguana that perched atop the Lone Star Cafe in New York. The book, designed by Marianne Jacob, including a panoramic end sheet of Wade's studio by Scott David Gordon, is nothing short of miraculous. We three judges could not stop looking and marveling. Congratulations. And for the K. Catarula Award for Best Short Story, our three judges were Carrie Clack, J.L. Powers, and Oscar Cázares, all three of them TIL members. And they chose as their finalists John Blair, who wrote Flagstaff, that first appeared in the Saturday Evening Post, and Daniel Miller, Fall Cutting, that appeared in the Hopper magazine. And so the winner of the Catarula Award for Best Short Story was David Meischen, who wrote Crossing the Light, that first appeared in Storylandia. And keep in mind, David won in two separate categories with two different sets of judges who did not even know he had submitted to the Robertson Prize for First Book of Poetry, which David also won. So David was having a very good year. Congratulations, David. And so this is what the judges said about his short story. Novelesque in its scope, yet told with a pulsing urgency of a short story, Crossing the Light revealed to us the measured life of Albert Decker, a middle-aged gay man living in South Texas in the 1960s. It's the story of compromise and sacrifice, a story of an abandoned love and a reclaimed self, and a story that, like its protagonist, asked to be considered on its own terms. So congratulations, David, for also winning the Catarula Award for Best Short Story. For the Edwin Bud Shrek Award for Best Short Nonfiction, our three judges were Stephanie Elizondo Grist, Robert Fairs, and John McCormack, all three of them TIL members. And as their finalists, they chose Roberto José Andrade Franco, The Desert Reclaims Everything, first appeared in Texas Highways, and Emily Gogolak, An Intersection at the End of America, that first appeared in Oxford American. And as their winner, they chose Irene Lara Silva, A Place Before Words, that first appeared in Texas Highway. So congratulations, Irene, for winning the Shrek Award for Best Short Nonfiction. It's a terrific essay, and I encourage all of you to go read it. And this is what the judges said. In this lyrical essay, Silva traces the geography that shaped her artistry by recounting her migrant family's travel from harvest to harvest. The images of Silva as a little girl in a pickup truck translating signs for her father were indelible, while the scenes of being rejected from hotels and restaurants across the Southwest were haunting. Hitting so many emotional registers made this essay resonate long after the final note. Congratulations, Irene. And finally, for the Lon Tinkle Award for Lifetime Achievement, we have awarded it to Benjamin Alire Sáenz. And as just moments ago, I received a text from Ben saying that he has shingles. And so, so he can't be here with us today. And so he sent me a very short note. I'm first going to introduce him, what I was going to say about Ben, and then I'll read his note. So he said he's in bad shape with shingles, so all of you also get your shingles vaccine. So, and Ben, we wish you a speedy recovery. So Ben is the winner of the Penn Faulkner Award for Fiction for Everything Begins and Ends at the Kentucky Club, and the Michael L. Prince Award, and land the Literary Award for Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. He's been a prolific author with over 25 books published. His books include The Inexplicable Logic of My Life, Sammy and Juliana in Hollywood, Last Night I Sang to the Monster, In Perfect Light, Carry Me Like Water, The Book of What Remains, Dreaming the End of War, The Last Cigarette on Earth, A Gift from Papa Diego, and The Dog Who Loved Tortillas. For his work, Sáenz has also won the American Book Award, the Patterson Book Prize, the Stonewall's Book Award, and the Pura Belpre Award, the Tomás Rivera Mexican-American Children's Book Award, the Southwest Book Award, 2 TIL awards dedicated to children's literature. And best of all, he's from my hometown of El Paso, Texas. So let me read to you the text that literally Ben just sent me about 30 seconds ago. And so just remember, if you guys are ever president of the TIL, learn to adapt and think on your feet. So here's what the text that Ben just sent me. I'm reading it from my iPhone. Let me begin by saying that this award means a great deal to me, precisely because it honors my career. It honors the work I have done over the last 30 years. And I also believe that this award honors the people in the city of El Paso that has been central to the work I have done. I cannot imagine having had any career at all without the city that inspired me and gave me a place to call home. Being a writer can be a solitary endeavor. It is a life that can be filled with many lonely hours, and I have always been plagued with self-doubt. It is a painful thing to write and be brave enough to be vulnerable on the page. But that is what makes a writer a writer. And I have no regrets. I have worked hard. I have shed many tears along the way, and I have had many moments of darkness. But despair was never an option. A writer writes because he is made of hope, and he writes out of that hope, out of that desire to pass that hope to his readers in order to banish the exile that lives in each of us. A writer writes to remind himself and his readers that we all belong to each other. And it's us, that belonging, that makes our lives worth living. I have had a magical career. I have had a magical life with the help of all the people around me that have loved me. I have overcome all of my demons and my own tendencies to self-destruct. This award reminds me that I am indeed a lucky man. I am blessed with a talent that was given to me by the universe. And I am proud to say that I did not waste that talent. I am a man blessed with the generous and abundant love of family and friends, and it is there that my wealth lies. I am no stranger to awards, but I am happy to say that I have amassed more friends than awards, and it is the love of so many of you that has made my life a beautiful thing. I want to thank my colleagues for having the generosity of thinking me worthy of this award. In truth, I don't feel as if I am worthy of this honor, but worthy or not, here I am. I'm truly drooled with gratitude for this lovely gift. I am so happy to be alive at this moment in time, and so happy to have colleagues who understand the insanity of being a writer. We are all mad, and all of us have come to love and understand our humanity and the humanity of our fellow human beings through the works of art we have written. In truth, we have received far more than we have given. Thank you, thank you, thank you for this award. You bless me, you bless my people, you bless the city in which I live, and you bless yourselves for honoring others. We bless ourselves. Gracias, my cup runneth over. So thank you, Ben, for sending that text. And we wish you a speedy recovery from shingles, and I will be calling you tomorrow to see how you are. And I hope you're okay. But thank you again. So finally, we get to a few final comments and announcements. The next annual meeting of the TIL will be in El Paso, Texas on Friday, Saturday, April 22nd and 23rd. I know all of us are dying to get together in person and have a few drinks and hug each other. And so stay tuned for a list of events leading up to that weekend, including readings by the TIL members in the community, visits to art galleries, and perhaps a visit and a tour of the El Paso murals that were just profiled in the New York Times, maybe a hiking trek through the mountains, and the best Mexican food in Texas, bar none. So I want to thank all of you for coming. And for more information on the Texas Institute of Letters, please visit our website at texasinstituteofletters.org. And I just have a few announcements. The TIL officers, the council members, we are all volunteers. And in this difficult year, that had been a strength, actually, because of our low overhead. We didn't have to fire anyone because we don't employ anyone. We didn't have a building to close down because we couldn't pay the long-term lease. And so this low overhead and lean structure has actually made the TIL have actually a very good year financially. So we keep working for you. So this is a plea to renew your membership and to donate to the TIL even modestly. It's always terrific when we have members who join to help our organization. And I promise you, you give us $60 in membership and we will turn it into $70 with our hard work. A second announcement, please go watch the documentary film, Citizens at Last, Texas Women Fight for the Right to Vote by TIL member Ellen Temple and Nancy Chiasari. This can be found at Citizens, with a plural, citizensatlastfilm.com. It's a terrific film and it's free to watch. And I would encourage all of you to go to the website and check it out. So Wednesday, April 28th at 3 p.m. Central, the Whitcliffe Collections is having a special program on Nepantla Familias, an anthology of Mexican-American literature of families in between worlds, published as part of the Whitcliffe Literary Series with Texas A&M University Press. I'll be there I'm there as editor of the anthology, and many TIL members are in this anthology. I'm not surprised it's doing very well and getting a lot of attention because it's terrific work, and we deserve, this community, the Mexican-American community of writers, deserves to be front and center of American literature simply because of our work. And tomorrow in the Houston Chronicle, for those of you who live in Houston, take a look at the op-ed pages and you'll see yours truly, where I adapted the intro for Nepantla Familias. It will appear in the op-ed section. Watch for that. So finally, I want to leave you with this image of our TIL coyote that was created a while ago by Regina Moya, the San Antonio artist. I think the TIL coyote represents a survivor in the roughest terrain and a spirited, clever animal that I sort of imagined always dancing through the desert, even as they're going through difficulties. So please enjoy this last song, and I'll see you next year in El Paso. I can't wait.